Hi, everyone. Welcome to our partner education session with VRBO. We're here with Jordan. He's on the revenue management team. And for those of you that don't know Astro very well or are new to us, we are a professional organization focused on development and education for short-term rental homeowners. My name is Heather, and I am the president of the board here. Looks like we've got Heidi jumping on too, so we have another Astro member of our team here to field questions and add comments. But Jordan's got an awesome deck to go through talking about VRBO tools, and then even he's going to go live, and we're going to take an opportunity to go live, and ideally in the chat, view the, using the question functionality. This can be interactive. At the end, we're hoping to leave time for questions, but it is a quick 30 minutes. This is a power 30-minute partner education session. So with that, I will turn it over to Jordan.
Thanks, Heather. Really appreciate it. Super happy to be here. I love doing this and working with partners. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll jump into it. Heather, you're killing me. Are you disabled participant screen sharing? We're just going to step through the deck first. So if you want to do the deck, that's fine too. There we go. I got it now. So let's share. Awesome. Heather, did you want to step through the beginning part of...
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. So like I said, this is one of our 30-minute power partner education sessions. We're excited to be here with Jordan. He has a revenue management background and now is on the revenue management team with VRBO. And so we're going to dive deep into the functionality and just kind of tips and tricks from a revenue management perspective. And then again, those of you that don't know Astro, we provide education resources in a networking community for short-term rental homeowners. We're a 501c3 not-for-profit. And it's great when we get an opportunity to work with partners like VRBO to provide this kind of educational material. And if you haven't checked us out, we do a lot more than just these partner education sessions. There's a lot of different ways to access information. And we do have a free membership tier. So it's a way to just come check us out and learn a little bit more about who we are and what's available to you.
Oh, there's more bullet points than I expected. You guys are really active.
There we go. There's a lot. Yeah, and actually this year we're looking to do our first in-person networking event. So more to come on that. Stay tuned. And yeah, with that, Jordan, I'll let you take it away to dive into the meat of the content here.
Awesome. So like I said, happy to be here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jordan Locke. I am the Partner Revenue Performance Manager for Vacation Rentals at Expedia Group. That's a super long title to say that my job is to help partners on VRBO make more money. So like Heather kind of alluded to, I come from a revenue management background. I started in pricing, lots of different things, mail, groceries, you name it, I've priced it. I ended up in a startup for vacation rentals. That's how I got into revenue management. And then from there, I kind of moved on to revenue management consulting and vacation rentals. I've been doing that for a few years. And then recently in September, moved over to Expedia Group. It was just an opportunity to really impact the industry in a much larger way. And I couldn't pass that up. And so if you can't remember that title, just remember Jordan Locke is at VRBO to help everyone make more money. That's the important takeaway. All right, so today, what I want to talk about is comp sets. Surprisingly, at least for me in this role, this is one of the issues that we get the most feedback and the most questions around. And it's really fundamental when you're talking about a revenue management strategy, or how do I make more money, or how do I know if am I making enough money, right? And so it's a really important topic. So really, I just want to slow down with this little quick half hour and just hit on comp sets and what are the quick things we can really do to improve them and why they're important. So just kind of a personal story from my experience. When I took that job at the startup, we launched a new property in Dallas, Texas, and it was our first time operating in Dallas, Texas. and the property was performing relatively poorly. And the management couldn't figure out why. And so what we were using was kind of an aspirational comp set. So we were comparing ourselves to kind of the name brands that we were used to comparing ourselves to in Austin, in Nashville, in Miami. So we're using the same comp set as our basis for pricing and monitoring performance in Dallas. The problem is that our location was slightly different in Dallas. We weren't exactly in the downtown, right? We were kind of in a medical hub a little bit further away. And so this aspirational comp set didn't really reflect the sort of traveler that was looking to stay with us, right? They were looking to stay downtown. It's a pretty condensed market in Dallas when you're talking about the CBD. So, the rates and the traveler behavior were just completely different. And so I lobbied to management and I said, hey, we really need to look at this from a different lens. Like that might be how we want to perform and that's fine, but this isn't going to help us get heads in beds. And so we took a really good look at our comp set and we went more local, right? Locally in that kind of a medical center, there were some local attractions, some extended stays, a lot of middle of the road kind of hotel chains. And that's who we needed to price against because people that were looking to go to that area specifically wanted to be in that area. And so completely redid the comp set, changed some of our minimum price floors. And the very next month, we saw a 20% increase in revenue, right? And so that kind of opened the door to put heads in beds. We started getting more repeat guests and traveler loyalty. So that helped us moving forward. It got some consulting firms in the door that wanted long-term corporate contracts for extended stays. That helped fill out our books. And so in the next quarter, we actually doubled our revenue from the previous quarter. And that property went from taking a loss to becoming profitable, which is obviously a huge deal in a startup where you're burning cash left and right. So comp sets are important and they can change your business and it changes the way you view your business. So really simple stuff up front. I'm sure most people are probably familiar with this in general, but what is a comp set? There's lots of definitions. Simply though, it's just a group of similar properties. You've put together a list of properties that you're going to use for some sort of function to compare your performance, to compare your prices, your occupancy, right? For some reason, you think this group of properties provides you valuable insight. So it's used to gain these insights by comparing different metrics like I just mentioned, right? That's why we use comp sets because we need more info than we can get simply looking at our own property. And so how this is determined on VRBO, which I think is one of the underappreciated things, is that it initially puts together a comp set based on traveler behavior. So one of the advantages we have at Expedia Group is we get to see the entire booking funnel from the time a traveler puts in a search date and a location to the time they book, right? And so we have all the data on how they're going through this funnel and what that consumer behavior looks like. And so when we go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to call out, like, that is such a differentiator because many of our members might use other like market data sources and they're great, like nothing against them, but that is an interesting advantage that you pointed out, that you understand shopping behavior, like at the top of the funnel. So just wanted to clarify that, Jordan. It's like a big differentiator.
Yeah, for sure. And the reason why I'm really stressing this is because this is what helped me turn the corner when I was managing that property in Dallas, is we took the perspective of not just kind of things you would normally see with like market data, but like, we're not getting bookings. Why are we not getting bookings from travelers? So we really dug deep, and what we did on our own is actually try to figure out, okay, who's viewing our property and booking elsewhere? You know, who's eating our lunch? If you're in retail, it's called leakage. It's a pretty common like concept when you lose share of wallet, right? And so the idea is, what is the traveler doing? And what travelers are looking at us? So that's how we made that turnaround at the Dallas property, and that's what Expedia Group and VRBO do for you when they serve up the comp set. There's no other way for you to really piece that together, but we can show you what travelers are looking at when they view your property, who they're comparing you against. And so that's kind of the basis of the comp set. And I think that's a really important starting block. Obviously, there's some things we're going to talk about on how you can modify that, but that's a huge insight that you can't just wholesale pass up. So one of the biggest things I hear when I talk about comp set and why is it useful, why is it not useful, especially in the vacation rental industry, is that everybody is pretty unique, right? These aren't standard hotel rooms necessarily. Maybe they're apartments. That's kind of close, right? But lots of destination markets, lots of individual homes. They're owned by different people. They're furnished by different people. They're designed differently. Their locations vary a lot. There's not always someone in the same building as you, right? So everybody says like, my vacation rental is unique, and it offers something that others don't. And so when I look at a comp set, the comp set isn't apples to apples, which is true. Your comp set is not going to be identical to your property. It's not going to be a list of properties that are exactly like yours. But I think the term apples to apples has kind of turned into overuse lately, right? So people want to compare things that are more similar than less similar because I think it'll give them better insight. But that's not always true, right? If I'm putting together an apple pie, it's probably more important that I compare an apple to an orange than one apple to another apple. Otherwise, I'm gonna get really funny looks at Thanksgiving when they open it up and it's full of oranges, right? So there's insights to gain at this higher level, but even when you look at apples to apples, there's so many different types. You can have so many different types of apples with small variation. And so it doesn't mean that your comp set has to be identical in every way to your property. If that were the case, it would just be commodity pricing. It'd be the same as selling oil and gas and wheat. You wouldn't need a comp set. There'd just be one market price. So the idea that there is unique properties and that there's lots of other unique properties, and that in some way they're comparable in some level is actually what makes this comp set useful. And so I kind of want everybody to dare to compare when you're looking at a comp set. Okay, the reason you need a comp set is because you're unique. Just because you're unique doesn't mean a comp set isn't useful, right? You need the comp set because you're unique, and you need to combine different facets of other properties and different facets of some submarkets to really get good insights and comparisons. And so when we dive in and look at a comp set, we go through what's useful and what's not. Just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be identical twins, right? We're just looking for something that will give us some sort of insight about how our property could perform compared to these other properties. And so we're about to jump into Market Maker in a second, but just general things to consider when you're looking at a comp set. I'm sure most people do this intuitively, but obviously location is a very big driver. The size of your space and its occupancy, can really target different demographics. One thing to consider is guest profile. That's sort of the demographic you're targeting. Are you looking more for families, for couples, for extended stays, for short stays? Are you driving local attractions? Is your house the attraction? So kind of the people that are looking to book your property and book similar properties, it's important to consider as well. The quality of the property and the pictures is obviously a big indicator of kind of the value you can provide, as well as are the different amenities. Reviews, both quantity and quality are important because that really helps drive consumer behavior. And of course, the price they charge, because even if everything is identical and the prices you are charging are completely different, it's going to be really hard to get accurate comparisons because you guys have a completely different strategy and completely different outcomes. All right, so want to jump into Market Maker real quick, but I'll go ahead and pause real quick. Heather, any questions before I pull it up?
No, I think that was a great review of how when we log in, we'll see a comp set that's been kind of predetermined by VRBO, but that was good to understand kind of the reasons why that you're saying this shopper shopped your home and these other homes, and the customers are considering this group of homes in the same consideration set. So yeah, that was
exactly.
good.
And I think it's a really good place to start. Obviously, you can make modifications, but it's an insight you wouldn't have otherwise. And I'll go ahead and jump in and show you why I think it's an awesome place to start here. All right. So everyone bear with me. This is a made up property that I made up yesterday. I went ahead and put myself in the meatpacking district. And if there's a few missing pictures, please don't be too mad, but I think this will be great for demonstrating the value of your comp set. So here we are on the competitive set portion of Market Maker. If you're ever confused on, just basic info kind of that we already covered, you can click here and it will show you how to customize your comp set, kind of how you click through and do these different actions I'm about to review. And then also, if you just want a little more detail, you can always click on skills. And there'll be a nice little pull out. You can click on this, it'll link to a few different videos with a little deeper of an explanation. Okay, so when we look at a comp set, like I said, we're starting with this list of 48 properties. And these are all properties that other travelers have considered while making their bookings, while considering my property. And you can see they have a percent match. These percent matches are based on lots of the things that are filterable or that you would consider from our list. So how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many does it sleep, what are the reviews, the size, the location, how many travelers are viewing my property versus their property. All of that kind of goes into a percent match score. And then something else to keep in mind is that when we build this comp set and then VRBO feeds comp set data to you in the form of pricing or occupancy, different properties have different influence on your comp set. So this top property here, that's a 74% match, is going to be much more heavily weighted in my comp set than something that's a 38% match. And then as this feeds into pricing opportunities that are presented in the platform and sort of the revenue management portion, it also knows that which properties typically book more than yours or have a higher rate than yours. So for instance, this one is a 13 bedroom. I have a studio apartment. I know that this 13 bedroom in Manhattan is going to book for way more money than what I have, what my property typically books for. And so it's not going to say, hey, this is in your comp set and you should charge the same. This is the data we're providing you. It's going to say, typically there's a relationship between these two properties, right? Say this one books for 5 times as much as I normally do. And so as its price goes up or down, it's going to take that relationship into consideration as it serves me opportunities. So just because it's in your comp set, it doesn't mean we're just regurgitating exactly what this property is doing to you. We're considering how much it's like your property, and then also the relationship between those different kind of variables. So just because it's a 13 bedroom doesn't mean that I have to remove it from my property, because relationship wise, it's a pretty good match. And VRBO is going to take into account that it's a 13 bedroom and you have a studio apartment. So just kind of a caveat there. Don't be too quick to pull the trigger when removing things. But there are things like you might want to remove, right, that don't necessarily make sense. So if my property is here, I can see most of my comp set is coming from kind of the meat packing district. But we've got 2 over here in Hoboken. I don't know how familiar everybody is with New York City or how many times you've traveled there. But if you're looking to stay in Manhattan, you're probably not looking to stay in Hoboken, right? But it's pretty close because it's across the river, and that's probably why it got included in the comp set. So I'm just going to remove these in Hoboken, right? And I'm going to say, the location's off, right? Because it's across the river. So I can go ahead and remove these 2 from my comp set. And so now I don't have to worry when I look at comp set data that it's feeding me things that are too far away in Hoboken. By the same token, maybe I can look over here at this map, right? I'm like, there's not really a whole lot of properties that are close by. I took those 2 away from Hoboken. I'd really like some that are closer in my location to consider. So how would I do that? I can kind of click on other properties here, and it will show you properties that are not in your comp set already. So I'm gonna kind of zoom in here. I see, this guy here, he's a 1 bedroom, has a lot of bathrooms though. He's a 1 bedroom, he's pretty close, just down the block. I'm gonna go ahead and add him to my comp set. And that map did a hard reset for some reason to Staten Island, but so I've added him to my comp set now, and you'll find him over here on the left. So now I have a little more locality, right? It's a little more specific. So that's one way you can customize your comp set. The other way you can do it is you can kind of go through these filters, help us make it easy. And you can use this to narrow down kind of on that list of qualities we covered, what's included. So I have a studio apartment. I don't want any of these giant multi-bedroom things in my list. Oh my goodness. I don't know why that map is doing this. Good thing I lived in New York and I can know where it's at. So, I want to take out some of the things that are in my comp set that are included that don't quite match my profile, these really big ones, right? And so maybe these are close and I'm like, well, it's bigger than mine, but it's closer. I'll kind of keep that in here. This one up, this giant up here by Penn Station, I really don't want. Right, so I'll go ahead and remove him. Or, we're way down here. That seems a little far away, 3 bedrooms, 3 bath. I don't want it. I'm gonna go ahead and remove it because it sleeps too many.
So do you think is there a rule of thumb, like, it seems like the recommendation is always about 50, exactly 50. But if I trim it down to 10, kind of how that could maybe be too few, or if I think I want to add more versus keeping it around 50, can you talk about that? Maybe the
Yeah,
approach.
so I think kind of a minimum of 20 is kind of the sweet spot. I know we've done some data analysis internally that shows like you get really consistent results. As long as you have at least 20 in your comp set, that's a good minimum. I also know, like, from personal experience, I tend to like 20. And then from more of an abstract view, it also helps take out some of that variability, right? So in order to half the amount of error you would see, you need to quadruple your sample size. So once you start getting up to about 20 is where you can see really consistent, robust results. And adding beyond that starts to have diminishing value. So if you have 46 that are a really good fit, maybe you want to keep them and that's fine. But if you see they're not a good fit, you probably have a couple extra to take out there.
Okay, that's good.
And if you're lower than 20, you probably want to try to find maybe some that are close, maybe some that are more comparable, and try to beef up your comp set a little more.
I just want to do a time check. We are down to the last 8 minutes. So encourage questions from the group. And then, yeah, Jordan, just want to let you know that.
Awesome.
Time check.
Thank you. I think we're doing pretty good. And so one other thing I'd like what we kind of alluded to, if you want to beef up your comp set, and like I said, we have a lot of these are pretty large and in charge properties here. So if I want something that's more comparable, I can always come here and do the reverse. So before I found properties that probably weren't comparable, now I'm going to go ahead and limit this down to smaller properties and use that to search. And I can also add in things, that are smaller. So I can click around and see, like there's a 1-bedroom apartment that's comparable just up the street. I'll go ahead and add that in. And so really, if you start with this base comp set of really good matches, consider how closely it is a match with consumer behavior, right here. You can find things that are a gross mismatch, like in this case, if they're in Hoboken, or maybe if it's a giant mansion, you want to take it out. Then you can find things that are more appropriate. So if you think it's not local enough, find locals. If you think the property needs to reflect studios, find studios. And so you can start there and really start to, hone in your comp set so it reflects what you want it to reflect.
We have a question from the audience wanting to know how often the data is updated.
So I think it's a live feed of data. So I think the percent match is done at least a couple times a day that is updated. Comp set data as well. So this is a pretty live and robust feed.
And if I suspected like a bunch of new properties came on the market as short-term rentals, it would pick up on that too, that like if I revisited my comp set and saw, oh yeah, these 10 new homes I want to include now.
Right. And then another good feature would be if you kind of knew where they were at, right? And so I could, if I suspect there's some down the street from me, and I just want to focus on those properties, right? Let's say this is a kind of a new grouping. You can just draw this rectangle and it will go ahead and select those properties for you. And then they'll populate over here. So if you want
to did that little shortcut by just like clicking in the map and dragging, right?
Click and drag, that's it. You just,
awesome.
It's like Zillow, right? Just click and it'll take you, click and drag, select 4 properties, and it'll populate over here. So it's another really quick way to kind of find competitors. Do we have any other questions? Because I think that's the bulk of the content, and I think the takeaways are, it starts from consumer behavior, which is a useful insight, and I wouldn't ignore that. But beyond that, it does require review. You don't want these properties in Hoboken showing up. So review it, make sure it fits your location, your amenities, your reviews, your size and occupancy. Kind of whittle it down to a comp set that reflects what you need to. But then always remember, it doesn't have to be identical. It doesn't have to be Fiji apples to Fiji apples. If there's a few galas or Honeycrisp mix in there, that's okay. We know about it and we're accounting for it in the data.
So now I think the next thing is to like, I feel good about this, and maybe I'm using like other pricing tools or I'm on other channels, but I see this as a like great resource. Can I see how I'm doing versus how they're doing? Or is it really more just like to check my rates, right? It's like my view of like, how's my pricing? But I can't necessarily see like, they've made X amount of money, I've made X amount of money. It's more about to inform, is your pricing right? Correct? That's like the core function.
Yeah, so we definitely have more visibility around the pricing for comp sets. Obviously, we want to protect our partners' data and make sure it doesn't end up on too small of a scale. So we do allow some sort of like more market level insights if you're talking about revenue or performance data. But for instance, we wouldn't allow you to drill down to a 3 property comp set and then pick out the revenue.
And if I don't know if you were planning to go to the other screen where I can see this come to life, right? Like the output of, now that I've selected it, what are the insights I get? I don't know if you have that in the demo.
That would be
the ability to see, okay, I feel good about it. I've curated it now. Like,
so I have 0 revenue because I just launched this property yesterday. Right, we should go to here.
Well, it looks like the competitor rates aren't showing up, right? This is where they would show up.
Letting me scroll down in my made up scenario.
Since this is yeah.
Let me see if it'll pop up here.
Pilot or sandbox environment, not alive.
It is, so it's not letting me get all the way down. Yeah, so it's not letting me show a timeline of historical data because I don't have any, unfortunately. But under normal circumstances, you would scroll down here, right? You could just keep scrolling lower, and that's where all those kind of line graphs would show up. And that would be what's influenced from your comp set. And so you would see that update as you change your comp set.
And at this point now you're back kind of on the home screen under market maker. But yeah, just that importance of like, you can manipulate this and people may not know that, right? Like you might think, oh, I just have this screen, what do I do with it? But that if you curate it, you actually might really get some valuable insights.
Right, and so some of the most popular features are like booked and unbooked rates. So as you curate your competitive set, you'll know that those that booked and unbooked are a lot more like you. Same with like forecasted occupancy. You'll know as you curate that competitive set and you feel more comfortable with it, that kind of reflects more what you would expect from your own property. So really just kind of getting that to where that comparison is useful to you is really important.
And that was I think you answered the question, and Darlene, please jump in. But the question was, are the recommended pricing suggestions or opportunities based on that existing comp set? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Right. So if you want to manipulate that, clean it up, curate it, it could change the output that they
right.
see.
Yeah. So it's based on overall what we see website wide. It's based on all the data you see from comp sets. And that's on your market maker, search demand, booked, unbooked rates, occupancy forecast, all that's included. And then it also accounts for the revenue strategy that you set as well. So whether you want to push occupancy or maybe push higher rates, it also takes that into account when it serves up pricing opportunities to you.
Another question, follow-up question, does the tool filter out blocks when reviewing booked properties?
Yeah, so if it's blocked and not a booking, it does do that, as well as we do have some machine learning for third parties or things that might be booked on a different platform. and we're pretty accurate at understanding that. So when we show you occupancy, we're really talking about booked occupancy or what's available in the market.
Hopefully that helped, but yeah, jump in if there's a follow-up there. Okay, yeah, that was good. Great. Well, I know we're at time. Last call. Anyone have any other questions? Please jump in, or feel free to post in the network. We will bring questions back to Jordan if there's anything after. We'll continue to share this learning session, and really appreciate everyone's time today. And thanks to you, Jordan. Yeah, great presentation. So
thank you. I hope it's helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out as well. I'm always here.
all right. Thanks again. Have a great day, everyone. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye, Jordan.